One of the ideas that we're tossing around and that we're hoping to get support for is the half-cent sales tax.
Local leaders are trying to figure out how to pay for 36 needed deputies in Flagler County. Daryl Moody reports.
Palm Coast City Councilwoman Teresa Pontieri says more than a quarter of the revenue created by a half-cent sales tax increase would come from tourists.
We know that we get crime from people who aren't necessarily always from our county and our city. And so, if we can get some of those revenues coming from people who don't live here, from non-residents, that's all the better.
Pontieri says it's a smart way to increase economic development.
Really bring in business and really make our city and county more of an economic flourisher, and the sales taxes can really help with that. So that is one of the ideas that we're trying to toss around because the last thing we want to do is stop funding public safety, which will just decrease our property values, really bring down the wonderful community that we have.
Pontieri says if the money is allocated specifically to public safety, it could also be used for the Palm Coast Fire and Police Departments. For Flagler's Morning News, I'm Daryl Moody.
Good morning, Flagler County. I'm Rich Carroll. You're listening to Flagler's Morning News on Thursday, April 4th. Flagler County fire crews have a new ambulance to better serve the community.
In an effort to cut down response time for residents facing an emergency, the city of Palm Coast has welcomed the newest addition to Station 25. In a joint partnership, the station is now home to the Flagler County Fire Rescue Ambulance, as the two agencies work together to serve residents within Flagler County. Palm Coast Fire Chief Kyle Berryhill.
The combination of a 3-person engine and a 2-person rescue responding out of 5 out of the 6 firehouses that Palm Coast Fire Department responds out of is really great for our citizens. It helps them with their homeowners insurance. It helps protect them.
Flagler Fire Rescue Chief Mike Tucker says the partnership is crucial to provide the best service to the residents of Flagler County.
When we get these large-scale incidents, the fires, the mass casualty incidents, we have to rely upon each other, to pull those resources in. If we had to do 100% standalone, the cost on the citizens would be phenomenal.
For more on this story, visit FlaglerNewsWeekly.com. For Flagler's Morning News, I'm Karen Johnson.
This local news is a service of Flagler County's Toyota dealer, Beaver Toyota US 1 St. Augustine, here to wow you. Easter weekend was a busy one for the Flagler County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Rick Staley.
2 of the notable arrests was a domestic violence case included an armed suspect. The suspect fled and a perimeter was established, and initially the suspect was not located despite using drones or canines and a helicopter. Ultimately, the suspect was apprehended as he was walking through the woods back to his residence. He was arrested for battery by strangulation, aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, simple battery, and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. He was taken to the Sheriff Perry Hall Inmate Detention Facility and was being held on $42,500 bond. In another arrest that was highlighted, See Something, Say Something was successful again. A resident called the sheriff's office about a suspicious vehicle. When deputies arrived on the scene, the individual was identified and it was determined he was on felony probation from an arrest in Volusia County. It was not allowed to be in possession of weapons. When deputies first encountered him, he had a brass knuckle-shaped stun gun on his lap. That made the violation of probation occur. An arrest was made. During the arrest, narcotics were also found, and he attempted to hide narcotics in his private areas when he was taken into the jail, but he was found with them and now additionally charged with possession of methamphetamine and possession of fentanyl.
Over the Easter weekend, Flagler County Sheriff's deputies made 21 arrests, handled 630 calls for service, and made 131 traffic stops. How does a person deal with the grief from a loss?
Carmen Gray said she started writing letters to her son Curtis, who was killed nearly 4 years ago now.
The book, which is called Gone, A Journey Through Loss, is an extension of my story. It started off as just my letters to Curtis, but it shows every stage of grief.
She said that at the end of the book, there's a workbook for parents who've experienced the loss of a child. You can listen to Lifeline here on WNZF, Saturday mornings at 9, anytime on the Flagler radio app. Tomorrow, putting the emphasis on what's inside. From the WNZF newsroom, I'm Deb Albertson.
And now you're up to date on Flagler's Morning News. I'm Rich Carroll.